Hi, I'm Alessio from Pilates by Cara. Today I've got an intermediate level mat work class for you. It's a combination of traditional Pilates exercises with some developmental movement patterns. It should take about half an hour to get through. You'll need to remember those 4 points of the spine that I referred to in the beginners level class. And it would be handy to get yourself a low-lying pillow just to support the head a little bit better when we're laying on our back. Okay, so place the pillow under the centre of the back of the head, not under the neck. Bringing your awareness into the 4 points of the spine that will orient you to your position of neutral. So we're thinking about the centre of the back of the head, that T3 junction I referenced in the beginner's mat class, so that roughly the third vertebra down in your thoracic spine, approximately level with the tops of your shoulder blades. That needs to be nice and anchored against the floor, and then we come down to our TL junction, the junction of the thoracic spine and the lumbar spine, which is roughly where your bra strap crosses the spine, and then the centre of the sacrum, where your lumbar spine meets your pelvis. So that enables our pelvis to be in a neutral position. And then we're thinking about our breathing, taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, drawing that breath down into the back ribs, feeling the expansion of the ribs away from the spine, bringing your focus into that T3 junction. Let's start there and see if you can expand those ribs in the upper back, feeling the shoulder blades expand with the breath, allowing the gentle rise and fall of the belly and the chest towards the ceiling. Breathing down into our TL junction, feeling the expansion of the ribs away from the spine. And then coming all the way down to the very bottom ribs. As you inhale, we want to feel those ribs expand laterally out towards the elbows. Bringing your focus into the back of the body, trying to breathe more into the back ribs. And then thinking about the belly. So as we inhale, we're looking for even doming from the top of the belly down to the pubic bone and from side to side. So that even 360-degree expansion of the trunk, enabling the trunk to feel nice and stable. And you might notice that with each breath, you feel a little bit more contacted to the floor or a little bit more supported by your mat. And then think about that diaphragm flattening and spreading on that in-breath. And as it flattens, it gently presses the contents of the abdomen down into the pelvis. And that's what gives us that intra-abdominal pressure and the ability to keep the trunk stable and the pelvis stable. So as you continue to breathe now from the diaphragm, see if you can hold that intra-abdominal pressure, that gentle doming on the belly. So there's some firmness behind the wall of the belly, and there's evenness in the expansion from side to side and top to bottom. And then maintaining that sense of expansion in the belly. We'll add a little imprint. So we want to roll the pubic bone towards the chest, feeling that lower lumbar spine gently contacting the mat a little more, and then roll back onto the centre of the sacrum. And rolling the pubic bone forward. Noticing that there's no shift in those other positions of the spine, so the centre of my head, the TL junction and T3 stay connected to the floor. Don't allow the chin to tilt away from your chest. One more. And then we're going to slide the pillow out from under the head to progress that into a pelvic curl. Imprinting the pelvis, peeling the tail away from the floor, thinking about those 3 points, the soles of the feet, the ball of the foot at the base of the big toe, the ball of the foot at the base of the little toe in the centre of each heel. And we're maintaining alignment of those 3 points of the spine, sacrum, TL, T3, not overly squeezing the hamstrings or the glutes, deliberately articulating each one of your vertebrae as you come down. Getting some movement through the spine. And let's have one more. Imprinting, peeling up,
feeling that pressure through the soles of the feet, not squeezing glutes or hamstrings, not lifting the chest towards the chin, keeping the chin towards the chest, shoulders wide and long. And then we're going to hold it up in the bridge and add some marching. Continuing to breathe into the belly, keep that intra-abdominal pressure. Feel the weight shift through to your left foot first, and then bring your right knee into tabletop. Place the right foot back down without shifting the hips side to side or dipping the hips. Keeping your intra-abdominal pressure to support the pelvis and the spine as we shift from one foot to the other. Notice a little bit of pressure through the back of the shoulders, the upper arms. And if you want to make that a little bit more challenging, you could float your fingertips towards the ceiling. So you need to rely a little bit more on that posterior chain and the abdominal connection to stabilize the body. Good, hold there. Bring the arms back down beside the body. Float the right leg back into tabletop. And you can hold your knee here, or you could extend your foot if you'd like a little bit more of a hamstring stretch and you've got the ability to hold neutral. Then lower the sacrum to the floor and press the pubic bone to the ceiling. So I'm not allowing my rib cage to wing off the front of the body. It stays connected to the front. And I'm breathing deeply into my belly. Just pressing my left foot through the floor. Last one. Bend the knee, place the right foot down, stay centered, no shifting side to side. Bring your other knee to your chest. Extend the foot, give it a little bit of a stretch, or you can keep it bent. Lower the back of the sacrum to the floor, and then press the pelvis to the ceiling. You want to try and separate the movement of the pelvis from the rest of the spine. Keeping the breathing going. 2 more. Last one. Hold there, bend the knee, place the foot down, stay up in your bridge. Just roll up onto the balls of the feet, feeling even pressure from big toe to little toe, and then lower the heels. Rise up onto the toes and lower the heels. Keeping the alignment of the spine, keeping intra-abdominal pressure. 2 more. Last one. Place the heels back down, float the hands towards the ceiling, turn your palms in, then take the arms over the head, drawing the shoulders down and wide. Keep the arms back on the floor, try and maintain the height on the pelvis. Then uncurl the spine, coming all the way down into neutral. 1 segment at a time, just mobilizing the upper back a little more. Bring your hands back to your start position. Imprint the pelvis and peel up into your bridge, contacting those 3 points of the soles of the feet. Making sure you're not overly squeezing glutes, hamstrings. Float the arms over the head, shoulders draw down and wide, and then uncurl the spine, 1 segment at a time. And last one. Slowly uncurling, lengthening the spine away from your fingertips as you uncurl. And release there. Just take the arms out to letter T, turn the palms to the ceiling, bring your ankles and your knees together, and then we're just going to add some gentle rotation here. Picking up your left hip, your left knee and your left foot, rolling over to the right, anchoring the left shoulder back against the floor, allowing the body to stretch and feel the rotation. Keeping intra-abdominal pressure, draw your left hip back to center, roll back onto the center of the sacrum. And over to the other side, picking up the right hip, the right knee, the right foot, keep the ankles, knees, hips stacked, drawing that right shoulder back against the floor, feel some length out of that top side of the body, and then start to bring the right hip back to center, and the knees will follow the movement of the pelvis. If you want to make that more challenging, bring the legs into your tabletop position. Breathe wide and rotate from the pelvis. Pelvis initiates the movements, the knees will follow. Feet stay aligned to knees, shoulders stay back on the floor. Then draw the pelvis back to center, knees follow, squeeze them together. Roll the pelvis over the other way, picking up the right hip, right knee, right foot. Draw the right shoulder back against the floor. Draw the pelvis back to center, knees will follow. And pause there. Bring your fingertips back to the ceiling. Draw the shoulders down and wide. Bring your feet into your semi-tabletop position, so we've got external rotation on the knees. Toes are turned out and feet are flexed. And we're going to add our little heel tap here, keeping those 4 points of the spine connected to the floor, making sure we're not shifting off the centre of the sacrum and we're not allowing that TL junction to lift away from the mat. Breathe wide into the belly. Keep that even doming as you heel tap. And then to make this a little bit more challenging, we're going to add an alternating arm extension. So let's heel tap the left leg and reach the right arm over the head. Once again, keeping those 4 points of the spine contacting the floor, continuing to breathe wide into the belly, nice even dome across the belly from top to bottom. Try and focus a little more on breathing into the back. And last one. And hold there. Then press your left hand against the front of your right knee. Let the shoulder drop back and down. Make sure there's good firm contact here. Then add your dead bug. Keep breathing wide into the belly. Feel the contact of the 4 points of the spine. Keep the hip at flexion, knee at flexion, ankle at flexion. Shoulder slides down away from the ear and stays wide. And then we'll switch sides. Gentle or firm pressure against the knee. Draw the shoulder back and down. Then hinge from the hip and the shoulder. Keeping that gentle expansion on the belly, holding intra-abdominal pressure, keeping 4 points of the spine contacting the floor. See if you can breathe a little more into those back ribs. And last one. And hold here. Bring both fingertips to the ceiling. We're going to add weight shifting. So we'll roll to the left first, onto your left shoulder blade and left hip. Pelvis and sternum move together. Hold neutral, keep breathing wide. Try and hold your balance on that point. And then come back to your supine position and roll onto the other side. Balancing on the right shoulder blade and the back of the right hip. Keep the alignment of the sternum and the pelvis. Hold neutral. And then come back to center, and we're going to roll all the way to the left this time. So rotate to the left. Place your left upper arm down. Bend the elbow. Turn your palm down. Then roll all the way onto your side, coming into a side lying position. Keep the arm bent, palm down. Rotate the head. Just draw the underside shoulder back and down. Push through the upper arm, the elbow and the back of the shoulder. And then just feel the body weight shift forward, so we press more through the elbow and the underside knee. Keeping the waist lifted, so just scan down there, making sure you haven't collapsed through the waist and the ribs. And we're going to open the arm and the leg together. And then close. And open. And close. Keep the underside knee contacting the floor. So we're working the outside of the underside hip and the outside of the top hip. And hold there. Place your top hand on your waist. Lengthen that hip out of the waist. Breathe wide into the waistband. Then add some circles. 5, 4. Make sure you're not collapsing on the ribs. 3, 2. Push the upper arm down. Press the elbow into the floor and go the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold there. Extend that top leg. Bring the knee forward into flexion and then send it back into extension. Bring it forward into flexion. Keep that waist lifted through the underside body so you're not collapsing on the ribs. Push the underside elbow and shoulder into the floor. 2 more. Last one. Hold that leg straight, lift and lower. Lift and lower. Keep reaching that foot away from you to lengthen the top side hip. Make sure you're not collapsing on the underside, ribs to lift. We don't want to compromise stability through the spine to get more range at the hip. Just work within your range, making sure you stay stable. And last one. Bending that leg back into your start position, push off your underside elbow and roll back onto your spine. And you're going to roll all the way over and do the same on the other side. I'm going to flip around. Coming down onto your other side, bend at the elbow. Pull the shoulder back and down, push the elbow down into the floor, bend your knees up into 90-90. Side lying, just check that you're not collapsing through the spine. We want the spine nice and long, not laterally flexed. Turn your head to look at the floor and then float the upper leg up. Good. Reach the hand forward, just feel that transition of the body weight shifting into the knee and more into the elbow, and keep it there as you open and close. And open and close. Work within your own range, keeping the underside knee contacting the floor. You might want to pop a little towel or a pillow under the outside of that underside knee if you feel it lifting. Last one. Holding it there. Just place the top hand on the waist, turn the head to look to the floor, and then add your little circles. Make sure you're breathing wide into those fingertips. You can feel the expansion through the waist with the breath. And then we'll go the other way. Checking that you haven't collapsed on the underside of ribs or waistband. 3, 2, 1. And then we'll go into hip flexion and extension. 2 more. Last one. Extending that top leg out, reach that leg away from you, lengthen the waist, breathe wide into the waistband, make sure you haven't collapsed on the ribs, and lift and lower. Keep pressing the outside of that bottom knee down. Make sure the underside rib is lifted. 4, 3, 2, 1, and bend that knee back in. And then we're going to come on to the bellies. So into our prone position, hands are just higher than the head. Fingers are spread, elbows are wide, level with the eye line. And you're going to pop your forehead down onto the floor. Legs are going to be level with the hips. Base of the pubic bone is contacting the floor. Elbows, palms, forearms gently pressing down into the floor, and draw the shoulders back down away from the ears. Breathe wide into the belly. As soon as you feel the belly contacting the mat, see if you can spread it a little wider. Once you've got that expansion on the belly and you can keep that intra-abdominal pressure, then think of lifting the head away from the floor. But I want you to think of lifting from that T3 junction, keeping the chin down, thinking about sending the centre of the head towards the ceiling. Press through the palms, the forearms, the elbows, keeping the shoulders gently drawing back, keeping the weight on the centre of the pubic bone, making sure glutes and hamstrings aren't switched on. Then turn the head to look at the left armpit and back to centre, and turn and look to the right armpit and back to centre, keeping the alignment of the back of the head with the rest of the spine. And last one. And back to centre, and lower the head all the way back down. Slide the hands back under the shoulders, draw the shoulders down, pull the elbows wide, back towards the heels, spread your fingers, even pressure from thumb side to little finger side of the palm. At the top of your inhalation, press yourself away from the floor. Hold your 6-month prone position, and then lower your sternum and pubic bone together. Draw the shoulders down, elbows lengthened towards the heels. Breathe wide into the belly at the top of the inhalation. Press yourself away from the floor. And then slowly lower back down. Keep that pressure through the thumb side of the palm. And last one, shoulders down, top of the inhalation. Press away from the floor. And then push back into your prayer stretch. Coming into our quadruped. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Draw the shoulders back and down. Press through the palms, spread the fingers. Make sure there's even pressure from thumb side and little finger side. Slight internal rotation on the shins. Press through the shins like you've got grapes under the shins, the ankles and the forefoot. So we've got lots of connection through those supporting parts of the body. And then reach your right hand forward, left leg back. So straight into swimming. Push the body away from the floor. Make sure you haven't collapsed your spine into that lower lumbar area. Then come back to center. Stay centered as you transition. Push through the shin on that left side. Reach right leg back, left hand forward. Turn your palm in. Draw the shoulder back. Push your body away from the floor. Come back to center. Stay over the center of the mat. Don't shift side to side. Push the right shin, ankle, forefoot into the floor. Press the left hand down and switch. Shoulder back, palm turned in. Lengthen out of the leg. Don't squeeze the glutes. Push away from the floor. Come back in. Last one. Left shin, ankle, forefoot presses. Right hand presses and reach. Keep pressing down into the shin. Keep pressing down through the hand. And then come back in. Bring the legs back into parallel. Tuck the toes under. Take a nice deep breath, creating your intra-abdominal pressure. Then think of lifting the center of the sacrum towards the ceiling. So we just float the knees. And then lower the knees. And float the knees. And lower the knees. No change in the position of the spine. Keep breathing into the belly. Last one. Lift the back of the pelvis, hold there. Just lift the sit bones a little higher. Push away from the floor. Bring the heels back behind your toes. Knees stay wide over the second toe. Push your body away from the floor. Draw the shoulders down, lengthen the spine. Come back down into your knee hover, pivoting from the shoulders and the hips. Hold there, breathe wide, then press up, away from the floor. Push the hands through the mat, lengthen the spine, and then come back down into your knee hover. Lower the knees all the way down, unravel the toes, push back into your prayer stretch. Slowly rolling the spine all the way up into seated position. We're on our sit bones. Heels are wider than hips, and I want you to flex your ankles. Push the heels down into the floor. Sit upright onto your sit bones. Just check that your spine is neutral and you haven't got any dip in that lower lumbar spine. We're going to add a slight backward tilt here just to put the abdominals on a little bit more tension. But breathe wide into the back. Feel the expansion wide through the waist. Make sure you've got that good even doming on the belly. Shoulders are back and down. Keep your left hand where it is. Open the right arm out to the side, spinning from the sternum. So we want to spin from where your bra strap crosses the body. Keeping the hips and knees aligned. Come back to center. Left arm opens out to the side, moving from the sternum. And back to center, and then take the arms up beside the ears. Draw the shoulders down. Rib cage doesn't lift or change its position. Breathe wide into the belly. Keep pushing the heels into the floor to release the hips. Arms up. Arms back. Make sure the movement isn't disrupting your breath. Arms forward, then dive over the front of the spine. Restack the spine, sitting up on top of the sit bones, nice and tall.
Push your bum back, come into an upright seated position, legs are nice and long, feet are in dorsiflexion, sitting right up on top of the sit bones, using intra-abdominal pressure to give height through the spine. I'm going to go forward into flexion first, so I want you to breathe wide into the belly, then roll the chin to the chest and the crown of the head towards the toes, rolling over the front of the spine and over the front of the thighs. Stay lifted up out of the body, don't collapse into the waist. Then draw the spine, the ribs, the pelvis back behind your sit bones and sit up nice and tall, keeping tension off the shoulders. One more inflection, dive forward. Stay lifted. Keep the belly expanded. Keep breathing into those back ribs. Then pull the spine back, ribs back, pelvis back, sitting back up on top of the sit bones. This time we go into flexion, curl forward, into extension. Hold that position in forward flexion first. Push into the back of the legs, then think of lengthening the front of the body away from the front of the thighs. Bring the arms up beside the ears, pull the shoulders down gently, lengthen the crown of the head up towards the fingertips, push into the back of the legs, keep the belly expanded, then curl forward back into flexion. Draw the spine, the ribs, the hips back behind you and restack, sitting up nice and tall. Last one, curl forward into flexion. Press into the back of the legs, lengthen the front of the body away from the front of the thighs. Try and stay as low as you can to the legs. Breathe wide into the belly, really active into the legs. Push the back of the legs down. Reach the crown of the head up, lengthen the spine. Curl forward back into flexion. Draw back through the spine, the ribs, the hips. Sitting up nice and tall at the top to restack. And relax. So that was our intermediate level mat class, roughly half an hour of a little bit more intense Pilates exercises, just building on the concepts that you were introduced to through the beginner's level mat class. Again, focusing on maintaining intra-abdominal pressure, our diaphragmatic breathing and being able to hold neutral pelvis, neutral spine. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Cara from Pilates by Cara.